So it's not in such like we have to delegate that to government. No, actually we are, while a democracy, we promote democracy. So and there's the people is quite central in that concept, and government is not its own entity. We should be the ones who provide guidance to the government on how to cover our collective needs.
We should be.
We should
Arnold,
be.
But the problem is that on elections day,
Yes.
what we do is we give our power to a representative.
Yes.
So that representative hoards a lot of power and can do whatever he or she wants
Yes.
for the next 4 years because we give them the power. So to me, the change that has to come within us is to stop giving the power to one representative and say, no, we're going to run the political decisions by everyone through referendums, plebiscites, polls, forums. We can't have power concentrated in just a few people because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, somebody said. And that's exactly what we're, so far in history, we're doing it.
Right.
We call it democracy, but in fact it's called representative democracy. It's a type of democracy that's not quite true democracy. And what we need is direct democracy, which is from the people.
And again, if we go back and organize life in more human terms and less abstract terms, so go back to this decision making in smaller communities rather than at the very abstract level, I think this would be also a good start to create that revolution that we're looking for. But
I understand that in Switzerland they have a lot more direct democracy than here, and that the politicians themselves, they don't have as much power as the politicians here in Canada. Here the prime minister is almost like a king. You know,
Yes.
we don't even elect him, but his word, his writing elects him. But he has the power to do whatever, go to war, change things at will, and we can just protest and pull our hair and go and scream and in front of the buildings, but to no avail because he has the power legally. The Constitution gives him the power.
and he takes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I understand that in Switzerland it's a little better. It's not completely direct
it's,
democracy, but more democracy than
Yes,
here.
it is a different system. There is also an understanding that it's not one party that needs to form government. It has historically been more than 150 years that there is a mix of 4 political parties who form government. And there is a variety of tools like the petition and the initiative that you can
Initiate legislation.
Yes,
As a private citizen.
Without having the parliament. Well, the parliament can then
Just
debate it, or they can counter it with their own suggestion. But it has to be voted on by the people, and I think it's not the first past the post electoral system. It's yes, there's a broad representation of various political ideas that are in the parliament, and there seems to be in general a consensus that we need to work together rather than have a bipartisan, very oppositional political culture.
If we had more referendums, if we had more initiatives, and people were participating more, then would it really matter how we elect those politicians? Because those politicians wouldn't have as much power if we are making the legislation. If people are basically having the ultimate say, then who we elect become more like executive officers of a corporation. They have to just administer the management of the corporation, but they don't make the decision. So it doesn't really matter how we elect them, whether it's proportional representation or first past the post, or it doesn't matter because they don't have the power to make political decisions. The people do. So to me, more important is that people have that power,
Those
rather
instruments, yes.
rather than how do we elect.
The other thing is that starting a referendum, an initiative, also takes some organizational talent and some resources. So again,
The government has those resources. The government
well,
should be sponsoring
big corporations to have the resources to push through certain things. So I think we still want to have proportional representation.
that. Well, yeah, if we want to give the power to the politicians, then proportional representation is better. Because the proportion is according to the party. So the party has certain philosophy, certain political bent, and you want to have it one way or the other. But if the people have 100% decision making, then it doesn't matter how you elect the politicians. You say that the corporations have money for advertising. Well, during elections, the same corporations brainwash a lot of people to vote liberal or conservative or NDP here, right? So what would be different if we're making it's easier for corporations to brainwash people to flood with advertising once every 4 years. It would be a lot more difficult if they had to do every day, because we would be voting every day on every different issue.
But that's what they do.
That's
They
what
shape
do.
our understanding of getting back to healthcare. The corporations with their day-to-day advertising shape our understanding of what is important in health. So we run for cancer.
That's right. Yeah.
We go and have all these supplements, and we avoid tobacco smoke, and
We need
these are things that where our whole understanding of health is already shaped by commercial interests.
Yeah. But we have the hope that that's going to change one day before we die. That
Well,
people
maybe
are
you
gonna-
have that hope.
that
I
people-
don't.
So you don't think that there is hope for a society, that we're doomed to be manipulated by the media and by the corporations, and that there is no possibility of change?
There is.
Uh-huh.
And the most effective agent of change is when I change the way I interact with the world.
First you change, and then you can expect the world to change.
So
you have changed. I have changed. I don't have a car. You have a bicycle.
that's right.
So if
So
we change,
that's already better than waiting for government to enact legislation that would reduce
yes,
carbon emissions.
Right.
Because
right. We have
But
to make the change. that
we
want.
also have to appreciate that these little changes are important. Because yes, it's nice to think about the revolution and that we can solve the problems that some of them we just discussed, like with the stroke of a pen, and set up an agreement or reshape government and whatnot. But ultimately, I'm pessimistic about those changes. But I'm very optimistic about
Your changes, personal changes.
the personal changes that because I feel we have a lot of power on a very individual basis to do things differently.
Yeah, I think there's both. I think there's a lot of individual making changes with their own lifestyles, but there is also collective decisions which
Yes.
the government does, like creating more public transportation so there'll be less cars. And of course I don't have a car, but if they improve that public transportation by putting more buses, trains maybe from here to the ferry so people don't have to drive, so the government has a role, and I think it's our duty to demand that they do something, to demand that they have a referendum on it, and see if the majority of people want it. So it's not just Arnold and Mora and whoever,
Well,
but the whole population, the majority of the population wants it, and then the government should do it.
And certain things, yeah, they should be done because they're the right response, you know.
Yeah.
And this is very difficult to sort of discuss in political terms because it comes from a different angle. So we're talking majority, so plebiscite, referendum, whatnot, on a particular idea, promoting, but you know, we should just realize, and I think it just has been declared, that air pollution is toxic to human beings.
Yeah.
So we should not tinker with knowledge like this, because if too much salt in my diet is not good for me, then my personal responsibility is to reduce salt intake. Well, if air pollution is toxic to human beings, what should the collective response be to that knowledge? Well, a carbon cap trade system? No, because we're not reducing the pollution, we're just shifting some credits around. So we should actually reduce pollution, period.
Yeah, we do that individually, but we also can have the government helping it by creating the means, like in public transportation.
The government is our collective entity.
Yeah.
The
So
democratic system.
we need both.
Yes.
We need the
We need
individual
to
change.
organize ourselves in a collective form, which is supposedly government.
Yes, but
I don't see government as a separate entity.
we are the government, and when we have direct democracy, we will be the government.
Yes.
But right now, there is a separate entity.
We have
because
to
we elect some people
Yes.
that make the decisions for
Yeah.
us, so they are actually
and
separated
we
from us.
have to advocate for the
because
ideas.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So when we have direct democracy, where we all vote for decision making, political decision making, then we'll say we are the government. But right now, I don't think we are the government. The government is actually a group of politicians that work on behalf of sponsors, and the sponsors usually are corporations with a lot of money to pay for their campaigns. So we have to change that.